You know that feeling. Your phone vibrates, it's a text. Or maybe it's a DM from someone you haven't spoken to in months. Your heart doesn't jump with excitement. Instead, it sinks. There's a weight in your chest, a sudden, sharp pressure to perform, to be on, to find the right words. And then you make a choice. You don't reply. You don't even open the app. You put the phone away, and suddenly the air in the room feels lighter. That heavy weight, it's gone. In its place is a profound sense of relief. To the outside world, you might look rude. Your friends might call you flaky or antisocial. Society tells us that being connected is the goal, that we should be available 24/7. But what if that relief you feel isn't a sign that you're broken? What if it's actually your brain's way of protecting something incredibly valuable? Today, we're going to look at the psychology behind why some of us stop replying and why the silence feels so much better than the conversation. Because the truth is, you aren't just ignoring a message. You are managing a very complex internal world. For most people, a text message is just a text. Hey, how are you? Is a simple question. But for you, it might feel like a marathon you're being asked to run without any warning. If you find yourself analyzing a single message for 20 minutes or replaying how a reply might be interpreted 3 days later, you aren't overthinking. You are likely a deep processor. Research from places like Harvard and Stanford suggests that some people are wired to process more information per interaction than others. When you see a message, you aren't just reading words, you're reading tone. You're predicting outcomes 3 moves ahead. You're playing social chess. Your brain is literally busy processing more details, more subtleties, and more potential meanings than the average person. While others see a standard definition world, you're stuck in ultra high definition. This is why small talk feels so draining. It's not that you don't like people, it's that your emotional antenna is always on. You're picking up signals that most people don't even know exist. When you stop replying, you aren't being cold. You're just turning off the antenna so you can rest. That relief you feel? That's your brain finally being allowed to go offline. Have you ever noticed that the urge to stop replying happens most often when you're already stressed? Maybe work is hard or you're dealing with a personal issue. Suddenly, even a nice message feels like a threat. There's a biological reason for this. Psychologist Dr. Stephen Porges calls it the polyvagal theory. Your nervous system has different modes. When you're feeling safe and energized, you're in social engagement mode. You can talk, laugh, and reply to everyone. But when you've been drained, when people have taken more than they've given, your brain flips a switch. It moves you into the dorsal vagal response. In simple terms, you shut down. This isn't a choice. It's a survival mechanism designed to conserve your energy. Your nervous system treats your energy like a finite resource, because it is. If you grew up in a home where you had to read the room or scan faces to stay safe, your threat detection system is likely highly developed. You learned early on that closeness can come with a cost. Now, as an adult, when someone gets too close through a screen, your brain senses tension and retreats to the safest place it knows: solitude. Stopping the reply isn't an act of aggression. It's an act of sanctuary. We live in a world that rewards surface-level connections. We're told we need hundreds of friends and constant engagement, but science suggests something different. Researcher Jeff Hall discovered that it takes roughly 200 hours of quality time to form a close friendship. When you look at your phone and see messages from 20 different acquaintances, your brain does the math. You know you don't have 4,000 hours to give. If you are someone who values quality over quantity, you aren't interested in a few texts and a coffee. You crave depth. You aren't willing to call someone a friend just because they have your number. This selectivity isn't antisocial. It's a sign that you're doing it right according to the Harvard Grant study, which found that happiness depends on the depth of relationships, not the number. When you don't reply to that surface acquaintance, you are making a choice to save those 200 hours for the people who actually matter. You are refusing to outsource your joy to social rituals that don't fill you up. There's a specific kind of person who feels the most relief from not replying, the emotionally self-sufficient. Psychologist Dr. Emma Seppeler at Stanford found that some people are wired to generate their own stability. You don't need external validation to feel okay. You don't need a constant stream of likes or pings to know you exist or that you're valued. In a world full of people who fall apart when they're alone, being whole on your own is rare, but it also makes you harder to read. People think you're cold or distant, but really, you're just not chasing friendships out of loneliness. You aren't looking for someone to complete you. You're looking for someone who adds to your life. When your phone is quiet, that quiet feels like solitude, not loneliness. Loneliness is the absence of a connection you want. Solitude is the presence of the peace you chose. You aren't sitting there wishing someone would call. You're sitting there, finally able to hear your own thoughts. Sometimes we stop replying because of what psychologists call learned helplessness. In 1967, Martin Seligman found that when someone experiences repeated disappointment with no control over the outcome, their brain eventually stops trying. It's not a sign of weakness, it's efficiency. If you've spent years being the reliable one, the friend who picks up at 2 a.m., the one who absorbs everyone's problems like a sponge, only to have those people disappear when you need them, your brain takes notes. Your brain runs on predictions. If your dopamine system expects a meaningful connection, but instead gets a one-sided conversation or a low-effort text, a prediction error occurs. Eventually, the brain decides that the reward isn't worth the effort. You stop replying because your brain has decided that hoping hurts more than forgetting. That sentence, "I'll reply later," which becomes never, isn't born from apathy. For many, it's built from scar tissue. Then there's the group of people who don't reply because their brain is simply running 17 tabs at once. Psychologists call this time blindness. If you are deep in a project, a deadline, or a passion, dates and messages can blur into abstract art. You aren't avoiding the person. You aren't suppressing anything. Your brain has simply filed that message under "not urgent" right next to the dentist appointment you've rescheduled 4 times. It's not that you don't care about the person, it's that you care about so many things that one day just slips through. For you, relief comes from the fact that you didn't have to break your focus. You stayed in your flow state, and that is where you feel most alive. Now, we have to be honest with ourselves. There is a difference between protecting your energy and building a prison. If you stop replying and you feel peace, that's a boundary. It's selective. It's built from self-awareness. It means you are guarding your energy and choosing who deserves access to your sanctuary. But if you stop replying because you're afraid of being seen, afraid of being let down, or afraid of vulnerability, then you might be building a wall. Walls block everyone, the good, the bad, and the uncertain. Ask yourself, am I choosing solitude because it fills me up, or am I hiding in it because connection feels too risky? One leads to a gentle life, while the other can lead to a quiet kind of bitterness. If you're still here, it's probably because you've felt the guilt of the unread message for a long time. You've felt like you were failing at being a normal human being. I want to give you a permission slip. You aren't broken. You aren't antisocial. You are likely just wired for depth in a world that rewards surface. You are a person who learned, perhaps the hard way, that your energy is a finite, precious resource. If your circle is small, if your phone is quiet, and if your heart is at peace, you aren't doing it wrong. You're doing it right. You are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to let the world wait while you find yourself in the silence. Nothing was ever wrong with you. Would you like me to create a quiz to help you identify which of these psychological traits resonates most with your communication style?